Hello friends, and welcome back to Elden Ring. Today we're going to be going over the Bleeding Black Flame Monk build. Now this build uses obviously Black Flame and the Blood mechanic, so it's a hybrid Faith Arcane build and using the very quick ability of the Twin Blades to proc that bleed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to be starting off with the Godskin Peeler. Obviously we're going to get it up to plus 25. It is a twin blade. You are going to use two hands with this weapon, so you're going to two-hand it after you proc seppuku, and with a 80 in arcane you are going to be hitting really quickly on that blood proc, the blood loss proc. So you're going to be doing this, you're going to have a pretty decent amount of dexterity, and we're going to be using seppuku, of course, to get us that blood loss proc. Next up, we're going to be using the Dragon Communion Seal plus 10. The reason we're going to be using this is because it's an arcane build, we want a seal that's going to have an S in arcane. Dragon Communion Seal does this. The where you get this now is right at the beginning of the game. If you start the game off with the 2 Stone Sword keys, you can actually get this very quickly by going to the right up the hill in the area behind the 2 little golem statues that you put the keys in, right at the very beginning of the game. For our first talisman, we're going to be using the Godfrey icon. You get this from Godefroy the Grafted. He's in the Everjail right next to the lift of Dectus, right when you get to the Altus Plateau, if that's the way that you chose to go. It's right down the hill directly to the right of the lift, and this enhances your charged spells and abilities. We're going to be using the Black Flame abilities, and most of them can be charged. For our next one, we're going to be getting the Flux Canvas Talisman. This talisman is acquired from killing Gowry, the guy from the Millicent questline in Caelid. I usually wait until the end of that quest line to kill him, but it doesn't matter when you kill him. You can just get him over with and he will drop this, and it increases the potency of your incantations, which is going to help us big time for what we're doing. For our third talisman, we're going to be using the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. This is located in the Halig Tree, right next to the drainage tunnel site of grace. If you go out from there and to the left, and instead of going down the branch to get into the building, you go to the left, there's a hole in the roof. You hop down there, you kill the pests. It's right in the chest right there. The reason we're going to be using that is we don't necessarily have the heaviest armor, although you can make this build and tweak it so that you can have heavier armor. However, I used it because it does still provide a 20% reduction to physical damage. Now, I don't know if everybody knows this, it's been a while, so I would assume that they do, but Melania does almost exclusively physical damage in her first phase. And our last talisman, the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. This greatly raises attack power with successive attacks. Now, you can also use Millicent's prosthetic for this as well. However, in my playthrough, this is my new game +1, so it's the first one. I was unable to do that. I didn't realize that once you talk to her, you can't kill her. And, well, yeah, it was not my greatest moment, but it's okay. Anyway, what that does is, because we're going to be hitting really hard and a lot, this will increase our base attack power, so we'll just be hitting harder in general, even though we're going to be proccing the blood loss. As for the armor to fit the aesthetic, we're going to be using the Black Flame Monk hood and the Black Flame Monk armor, which you can farm from the guy at the bottom of Radahn's Tower in Caelid, and right before the Godskin Apostle boss fight that gets you to the Godslayer's Greatsword. So just keep farming him. He's literally right next to a site of grace, and you will eventually get this armor. For the incantations, you can use whatever you want, but the 3 main ones are going to be Flame Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow, and the Black Flame. Obviously, the Black Flame fits with the aesthetic, but it's also a fantastic spell doing damage over time based on the enemy's health, so it does hit very hard, especially with the Godfrey icon. For Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow, I mean, it's any build that uses faith period. Even a lot of builds that don't, you should still be using these because they make you hit like an absolute freight train. So I just use those because it really does. It makes you hit very, very hard, and your spells are going to be hitting hard as well. So that's what we want, right? We want things to, hit the floor. Now, as for our stats, I am level 213. However, you could probably run this build at 150 by making just a few tweaks. It is a new game plus build, but I started off using 50 vigor, 25 mind, because that is kind of the sweet spot for it. Endurance, 25, so that I can wear the armor effectively and have the medium roll. Strength, 17, to meet the minimum requirements for the Godskin Peeler. Dexterity, we wanted to get that up a little bit higher, just because that's where a lot of our damage from the weapon is coming from, and it does scale better with dexterity. Intelligence, I didn't put any points into. Faith, I ran it at 30 because that was the minimum that I needed for Black Flame and a couple other spells, as well as Golden Vow, and for Flame Grant Me Strength. And for my Arcane, all the way up at 80 so that we can proc Blood Loss as quickly as possible every time. Most enemies, it takes like a quick 3 hits. I'm in Farum Azula, so it probably took me like 4 hits on some of the enemies, and obviously it doesn't work on, things like the undead and stuff like that. But for the most part, it procs extremely quickly. And there you have it, guys. That is my Bleeding Black Flame Monk build. I really enjoyed this build. I always love the hybrid playstyle of being able to throw spells and have melee. And obviously we know a lot of the spells in Elden Ring are just really, really good, and a lot of their mechanics are very, very powerful against enemies. So I did enjoy this, and I hope you guys did too. I enjoyed making the video, so don't forget to like and subscribe in case you want to see more of this stuff, because it lets me know that I'm doing the right stuff and that you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. But I hope you guys enjoyed it again, and have a great day.